And with us today is, like I just said, Mike Durhan. And Mike, if you're there, please go ahead.
I'm here. Hi. Hi. Can everybody hear me?
Everything is good on our end, so whenever you're set to go.
Okay, great. I'm just going to share the PowerPoint presentation here and get that up on the screen. Let me, well, first of all, thank you so much. Nice to be with everybody today. Efficient way to have a meeting. Let me explain right from the start what we do. This is a live patient. This is a lady that named Danielle. I have permission to show Danielle's slides. I was actually hitting a bucket of golf balls up at a golf course. She was beside me, and I noticed on her shoulder this rather ugly kind of mole. And I'm trained on this, so I said to Danielle, you know, at the time, look, sir, don't want to be creepy old white guy, but do you mind if I take a look at that? And I looked at a mark on her shoulder, and I said, you've been looked at by a doctor? And she said, my doctor's looked at this 3 times and said it's nothing. And I said, well, I beg to differ with your doctor. Do you mind if I bring up a scanning device, which we have, so that I can take an image of this? And we have a medical device, class 2 medical device scanning device that is here, and it's handheld device, and it simply goes on top of the molar lesion, and you're clicking a button, and it takes a complete image, not only on top of the skin, but very importantly, 2 millimeters below the skin surface, and it captures 4 pathophysiology views underneath the skin surface. So what we were able to do with Danielle is take a picture of her, and this is what you get to see with our technology. It provides a color view, which is essentially a dermoscopic view of the mole. This was a very large one, so we took a number of these, and it shows the irregular border. It shows some radial streaming on here, and a few other indicators that this is much more complicated than just a mole. But the interesting part is when you come down underneath the skin with our technology in the blood view, you'll notice an interesting formation. You see these big white blotch areas. That's actually a melanoma tumor. And the reason it is because cancer cells are fast replicating cells, and they're denser, and they chew up all of the surrounding sort of food, if you will, in the area, for lack of better terms, just a lay term. And you will see, if we had the infrared camera, which was the one that would take the other blood image, there is a source of blood sitting around those tumors feeding it. And so this is a classic sign of a melanoma. We look at the bottom left screen, you'll see these dark black irregular distribution of melanoma. Melanoma is why you get a suntan. It's there to protect your body from UV damage. And dermal melanin is telling us how the concentration of melanin is, to let us know this is the area where we have real problem. And then we get down to the collagen view. So we're now actually 2 millimeters under the skin's view, and we're at what we call the reticular dermis. And if that had black holes in it, then we would be very concerned, because that would mean that this has gone through the reticular dermis, and it is now into the bloodstream and into the lymphatic system, and moving its way onto another organ. So that's very, very concerning to us. So this was on a Friday at 10 a.m. in the morning, actually going into a long weekend. And this is Monday morning, we had the patient in and this removed. And so in terms of cost, you know, we caught this at a stage 1A just before it was starting to get into trouble. And that cost our healthcare system, you and I as taxpayers, $2,400. And had Danielle, who had believed she was fine, because that's what she was told by her GP, had she have not seen anybody for 8 months, this would have progressed into a very dangerous melanoma, which would have required a tremendous amount of work to cut it out. She would have been on chemotherapy. She would have been on a drug called Keytruda, and her survival chances would have gone down quite dramatically. And that would have cost the healthcare system, for the chance of the length of her average length of stay, about $1 million. That's what the chances are. So the idea, like any cancer, is catch it early and have the best optical stuff to do that. So that's what we do. We have an ISO facility up in just outside of the airport in Toronto, where we manufacture the scopes. We manufacture these scopes. Our in cost is about $700 to manufacture the scopes, and we sell the hardware part of the scope for about $2,000. And we actually have a fully compliant teledermatology platform on the background, or telemedicine platform on the bottom. And that allows us to take a complete image of you from a remote location, put it into your patient management system, and send it across the internet to a dermatologist for assessment. We are currently approved in 35 countries. We're a Class 2 medical device. We're in the USA, we have FDA, Canada, we have Health Canada, CE mark, Australia, ARTG, and we just recently got a medical certification and regulatory approval for Brazil. We're working on an AI platform, which will, because of our technology is advanced and we can take images underneath the skin, it gives the AI platform a lot more information than a simple camera view on the top. And we have a very strong AI platform that we'll launch a little bit later this year. We have 46 peer-reviewed research papers out there. So, Medx has a robust technology platform here, and this is something that we're very proud of, and I'll explain now. We'll move along. Usual cast of characters you'd expect on a management team. Fairly experienced group here. We know how to get to market with this. Our big thing is we got a really advanced medical advisory board. We have the former president of the American Academy of Dermatology. They are all very active working with us on development of all of our technology. Dr. Dan Siegel, the president of the American Academy, said when we finished and completed our technology, he said one of the greatest things, he said, this is as close as I'll ever get to seeing the patient without seeing the patient. And once we knew we had that, we knew we had something really special in terms of a scalable platform to roll out. Dr. Trevor Champagne works with us diligently up here in Toronto, and he also has a bachelor in mathematics and computer science. So he heads up the AI program with our researchers and people working in that space as well. Melanoma, 420 million people at risk in the world. And the idea behind us is to go into the areas that are of high risk and set up a scalable partnerships globally. That's Medx's model. This is a bit about the Canadian model. I'll just speak to it briefly. 565 dermatologists in Canada serving 37 million people. So that means the wait time to see a dermatologist, if you're not in the central core in Canada, in Toronto or Montreal or a hub, you're literally waiting 5 to 18 months to see a dermatologist. Why is that wait time so long? Well, it's a matter of number of people, but here's kind of the issue. You have to go to a GP in Canada right now to see a dermatologist. And GPs are really poor at gauging what should go to a dermatologist and what shouldn't. So they miss 1 out of 5 melanomas. That's what the statistics are, which isn't a great number. But what GPs do is tend to send everything to the dermatologist. 97% of the things that dermatologists see are benign. They really didn't require a face-to-face visit. So teledermatology comes in here and takes that shrink time, the 15-minute block time that a dermatologist needs to see you, and drops it down to about a minute. So a lot more throughput for patients. We can declean these lines and we can get people in and out in 72 hours. And that's what our technology enables. Again, a little bit more about the technology. What's different about this technology compared to everything else in terms of our robustness, in terms of IP, is, and again, this is a black model because it's a demo model. This part of the cone of the model hosts a fixed focal point. It hosts all the light systems in there that give the different infrared light and different light waves in it. And it has an aperture in here of 11 millimeters that's designed to go into very hard to get at places behind the ear and things of that nature. So it is a very robust technology from our ability to get images above the skin surface and below the skin surface. This is another melanoma on the bottom of this slide that I caught from a very, very dear friend of mine. And we got that one out on time. We also have a fully compliant patient management system. And this was built on a FHIR platform, which allows us to interconnect with any of the other major EMR systems. So, for example, we have one of our devices live up in Sudbury. A patient can go up into Sudbury, get scanned inside a medical clinic up there, a pharmacy clinic. It will leave there, the image with your patient information on it, arrives at Women's College Hospital. Dr. Trevor Champagne assesses it. And there's a navigator attached to the conversation so that if in fact you do have a melanoma, and we've had this happen before, it goes right up to Laurentian Hospital, and we get you in and out and get the melanoma dealt with. And we've done that where it happened in a patient on a literally on a Thursday, and on Tuesday the melanoma was removed. So complete patient management system. Everything is compliant in terms of HIPAA, GDPR, and PIPTA. And why that's important is phones, because that's one of the things everybody thinks, oh, I can do this with a phone. They do not carry the necessary things. I'm not allowed to store any images underneath compliant. I can't store an image on the camera. I can't store an image on my PC. There is no patient images that I'm allowed to store. Well, the problem with phones is they store images, and they aren't secure when you're sending information across the internet. And they're really a customer to doctor dermatologist. We work directly with big pipelines. So we go in and embed ourselves in pharmacies. We go in and embed ourselves in medical centers. We go in and embed ourselves in employee benefit programs, insurance companies. And then so it's really at the institutional level that we're moving this information and patient assessment around. Fully secured, everything we've worked with and everything we store. Like, one of the things with this is you cannot have images leave your country. So I can't take an image of you here and send it to India or Thailand to have an interview. All images must stay resident within the country of origin. So we work with Amazon Web Services to provide all our fortressing and storage of images. All images are captured and kept for 8 years past age of consent. How does it work? You would simply walk into let's take a pharmacy or a wellness center. Technician would take an image of you. It would go securely across their internet to a dermatologist who would read it and assess it, give a patient a report, and send it back across to your doctor's office for a consult. There's a couple different ways we deal with it. If it's something that needs to be dealt with right away, you get in touch with by the dermatologist who get you in to get it to be dealt with straight away. What's our model? Our model is simply this. We sell the device for $2,000. We have a platform simply that looks like the phone platform, your telephone platform. You're paying upfront for amount of digital information every month. So in the case of, we'll use a 1,500 install model because that's the standard size of some of the pharmacies that we're dealing with right now. Some of them are much bigger than that, some a little bit smaller, but let's just take a 1,500 install pharmacy as a model. When we took the center line image on that, the platinum one, and the pharmacy is paying $300 a month, and they get to scan 30 patients for that a month. So if you take 1,500 installs and you look at us times 1,500 times the 2,000 model, you're getting 8.4 million a year of revenue from us, and 5.4 of that million is annual recurring revenue. So we are truly a SaaS model in that front. We're now working currently in Canada with a couple of large pharmacy chains. We'll be coming out very shortly with a demo project on that. I will say that we've been working diligently with a couple of large pharmacies, and they are very deeply secure around their security. They don't want anybody going in and tapping into their lines. So anybody dealing with the major pharmacy systems in Canada or the US have to have very robust privacy protection, threat protection, and all of that. And it is a bit of a barrier to entry for anybody else going into that space. We started a little bit over a year and a bit ago, a deal with a company called Sanitas, a very large insurer over in Spain. They purchased 3,000 scans with us. And the idea is the insurance companies actually really understand the cost of a melanoma. And they've completed about 2,600 of those scans right now. And then the COVID came in, and they haven't been able to complete the rest of it because they've been preoccupied with other things. But this particular one, we set up in 8 facilities to do these scans with their people, but they have like major companies that they would, you'd recognize the big companies. They have medical centers inside each one of these companies. And the idea is to work with the insurance companies in the ensuing months, more than just one, to be able to offer this as in their wellness centers. And recently, our biggest announcement we made, January 16th, we announced that we had our single largest purchase order since we offered the new bundled package. So we really just came out of the gates here recently with our secured platform, which attaches to our optical scanning technology and allows us to do it as a SaaS model. We went down to Brazil Our Brazilian partners got us through the regulatory process in very, very short order. And we've been down there having quite a bit of success, to the point where they ordered 500 scopes from us on January the 16th. So, you know, the same kind of math pays. It's about $1 million in hardware revenue and about $1 million of annual recurring revenue once we get all the installs done. So really, really great success in Brazil. There's 230 million people. Of the 230 million people on the equator, I can tell you melanoma down there is absolutely epidemic. I went back a bunch of times, and here you can see me doing some of the training in the middle slide and training here on the bottom left slide. And we work with the top dermatologists in Brazil. They've absolutely embraced this technology, and we're expecting a lot to come out of Brazil over the next ensuing years. And I'll get down to, so this is a cash flow slide. We'll make sure everybody gets a PowerPoint. Just trying to get everybody to understand, you know, our target is to have minimum 1,500 installs done by Q4 this year, up and running. And again, Q4, if we get that many installs out there and running, again, that's 5.4 million of recurring revenue and 3 million of hardware revenue. And there's other opportunities for us to monetize on this, because we control all the data. So for example, when you come in and we go through a patient management profile with you, we ask to keep your images, and we keep your images, and that's for our AI platform. The other thing is we have the ability, if you unfortunately have a fast growing melanoma, to get you into clinical trials that can potentially save your life. And that's another way for us to monetize on our data. And I know I kind of went pretty quick there, but I want to give some time for questions and open it up. So we can take this technology right now in over 35 countries. We're fully commercialized now. We've switched to a SAS model. Before, we were a one and done kind of model. Over the last year and a half, we raised about $2 million, and then we built this very robust platform and allow us to marquee this globally. Our objective is to be cash flow positive here in 2020. I'll speak to COVID, and well, actually, I'll speak about COVID now. A lot of companies have been stranglehold with COVID. We haven't had that experience. We've never been busier. And here's the reasoning behind it. Before, dermatologists had complete offices filled with people. So you even get into a dermatologist, you can imagine, and let's just take the Canadian example. You've got 565 dermatologists serving 37 million people. I mean, their offices have 110 people going through them a day. To try to get to a dermatologist is very difficult. Well, when COVID-19 hit, all of that stopped. So at that moment in time, dermatologists were looking for ways to, you know, access their patients and help them. And that's where teledermatology is really taking off. So this month we will have a couple of peer-reviewed articles put out in all the major dermatological magazines, and we're doing some branding and marketing in there to increase our awareness level across the Canadian and US markets. I will say Brazil produced the largest purchase order in our company's history. And you'll see us expand into, over the next month or two, you'll see us expand into Mexico, Colombia, the US market, and we're working with a large employee benefit company right now to be able to expand into their market offering as well. And the one other big additional piece we'll do this year, starting in July, we'll have an additional camera added to our platform that allows us to take images that are not on the skin, like the scope, but to be able to come above the skin and take images of acne and psoriasis and all sorts of other things. And I see Sophie's come on the screen, so have I chatted enough? Yap.
No, it's perfect. Thank you so much. I wanted to give a chance. We have quite a few questions, so I wanted to give a chance to get through them.
Okay.
Some of them you touched on in the presentation, but we'll just go over them in case somebody missed it.
Sure.
How many doctors are currently using these products?
So in terms of our strategy, we've got probably right now. So let me explain what that issue. We're a small company, so for us to launch and go out to doctors and have doctors use this technology, let's say in the Canadian market, it really doesn't work. There's 80,000 doctors. Doctors are stressed out of their level, and they don't really like to spend money on new technologies. What they like to do is just send the person to the dermatologist, which is the broken model. So we couldn't get, we don't have the scale to go to independent doctors all over. So what we did was take the pharmacy model because it allows us to leverage it. So each pharmacy hub would deal with between 120 to 140 doctors that are sending scripts in. It's much easier just to have the device sitting in the pharmacy and the doctors just send the patient down to the pharmacy for scanning. So that's our model. So what it's going to take is it takes a little longer to get the big network up, but once you do, you're capturing a much larger market.
So now this is, there's two questions back to back from Anthony. And so how does it work? The dermatologist gets paid, the pharmacy gets paid. How's the revenue
Right,
model?
okay, great question. So it's a bit of a bespoke model depending on the jurisdiction, but let's take the Canadian example. So right now you go into your doctor's office and the doctor says to you, why did you come in today, Anthony? And you say, well, I've got this, suspicious looking mole. The doctor does an assessment, says, look, I'm a little bit concerned about that. Let's send it to a dermatologist. In that case, the doctor gets an A007 code, which is about $36 for doing the consultation. And then there's an additional K code, 238, which allows a doctor to get paid $16 for sending it using telemedicine to a dermatologist. The dermatologist gets paid under a U code that gets paid about $46 for doing the assessment. So that's how it's all paid for. Now, because how do we get our piece out of it? So what we do is we provide the service, the scanning service in the pharmacy, and they charge typically here and in the US around $100 for that service out of pocket.
Okay.
Now, at the beginning in Canada. And then what happens is we've been speaking to the major insurance companies. Once we're national and we can provide it right across the country, the insurance companies will step in and augment that and add it to part of their insurance. But for now, it'll be patient pay, and the pharmacists will charge depending on which countries we're in and what we're doing. Anywhere, like for example, you can go into a Boots pharmacy in Boston or in Boots in Norway, you pay 50 euros to have it done in 72-hour response time.
Okay, excellent. Wow.
Sorry.
That was very thorough. Thank you.
Wow, surprised I knew the answer. Wow. No, sorry, go ahead.
We had another question. What is the warranty on your scanner?
So warranties on the scanner, I mean, they're pretty robust unless you drop them, which I've done before, but they're about, we give them every year. So let me answer the question differently. The scanner calibrates itself every time to ensure that it's functioning perfectly. Okay. If there's a problem with it, depending on which package you have, you can send us back the scanner if it's malfunctioning or something's going on, and it's all built into your pricing package. We'll send you out by courier a scanner the next day. So we never want to have any downtime between the scanner working and the scanner not. So depending on which package the end recipient takes, they're pretty robust. If they break, usually we'll give them back because we really make all the money on the scanning fees, and it's not that big of a hiccup for us.
Okay, excellent. Then I have another question here. When is it expected that the first 500 units will be delivered to Brazil and the reoccurring revenues start to come in?
Good question. They're shut down under COVID right now. We will ship 150 units here end of month, beginning of next month, and then I'll have all of those units in by third quarter down into Brazil is what my expectation is, and then another order to follow from them. And they've already got the sales on those, so it's just a matter of getting the people in and get them deployed. Like, I mean, it's crazy down there. Like one particular dermatologist runs 270 clinics. He's putting a device in every clinic. So it's not like, this is what came out of the trade show. It's very scaled compared to us. Like you don't think, but 220 million people, and I've been back and forth to Brazil a lot. It's just, it's a big numbers game for us down there.
Does your scope of 2000 include the software on the PC?
Right. So everything's included in the sale of the scope and the Derm Secure. It's just you're paying like a SaaS model. Once you've embedded the technology in, it just allows you to go at that point in time. It's all part of the package.
Okay.
Except we get the $10 every time you take a scan.
Perfect.
And by the way, that only costs us, minimal amount of money for us to do that. So all our margin is in the scanning.
And another question, how many clients do you presently have?
Let me see. Well, our clients work like this. We're doing, for example, we're doing a deal in Brazil, and that would be considered one client
Okay.
because they're buying in volume from us. Behind them, how many people they have, you know, I would know if I had, because we have a full back end office, so we could see everybody and who it's with. But they're opening it up to huge markets. We're just about to do another large Latin American country. Again, that's the same thing. We've got the one big customer, and when they do this, we sign all our contracts with performance guarantees in them. So they have to have X amount of installs, and it's a reasonably good number every year, and for them to maintain if it's an exclusive arrangement and that. So there's an expectation with our partners. We pick them very carefully. They're quite wealthy. They have the ability to commit to us, which in upcoming press releases, you'll get to see that.
Okay, so we have a question that's kind of two-ended here that maybe you can answer together. Somebody asked, I see Holland in the plan. So is the rest of Europe open yet? And then another question was, is Medx CE approved? Can the device and method be imported and applied in Europe?
Yeah, so we are CE approved. We'll open up Portugal this year, Spain. We have had a program that we're working with in the Netherlands right now. We're just getting to the very end of getting the launch correct. We've been running a beta there for a while. We've been doing some testing. Everything, like I said, is a little bespoken. The Netherlands has taken a little bit longer than we had hoped to get going, but we've got most of those bugs ironed out now.
Okay, excellent. Then there's, here we go. What percentage of the company is held by insiders?
The last time I looked, I think it's around 14% of the company is owned by insiders.
Okay, excellent. And then out of interest, say the pharmacy charges $100, for example, what percentage would Medx get of this?
So what we've done with our technology is we've priced it where the more images go through, the better. And we want to incent all our food chain all the way through. So our typical model looks like we'll take $10 a scan. And that's our base number. And that causes us pennies to be able to hold that price. So it's a pretty lucrative relationship with us to do it at $10 a scan. And, you know, you've got other people in the food chain that need to get done. So our idea was to make this scalable, accessible, and get it out into the market and get as many images going across, because we own the platform. Just think about this: when we add the secondary camera that allows me to take pictures of psoriasis and acne and you know, a bug bite or a spider bite or anything like that, it's still $10 a scan going across the channel. We're just increasing the amount of volume going through the on the highway. You know, right.
Are private citizens allowed to purchase these devices?
No, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. But if anybody is really worried about a scan or something that they want to get done, so if you make sure they have my number, and I'll make sure we figure out a way to get them scanned if anybody's got anything they're worried about.
Excellent. Will Medx become a franchise opportunity?
No, it takes a certain skill set to get into the market. We really, like, for example, in Brazil, we deal with a company called One Way Diagnostica. And this was just shocking to me when I got down there and met the team down there for the first time. I mean, they literally had more dermatologists at the dinner table than I've met in Canada. And it's because they have a relationship with their whole team, sells nothing but to dermatologists. And, you know, I sat at the table, and it was a funny thing. We were having dinner, and I said to my partner down there, Carlos, and I said, how do you have all these top these are the top dermatologists in the country at our table? He goes, well, that's his cousin, that's his sister. So it was a little nepotistic, but I was happy that we were all a family. So the answer to it is, you know, we pick our partners very carefully now. We know what we're doing now. We've got a lot of experience on how to pick a partner, and we get ones that are deeply entrenched into the system. That's a little hard to control with a franchise unit. It's not really, I wish it were, but I mean, it's a tough go as a franchise model.
Okay, what is the status of the dermatologists using this product in Canada? What is your strategy to get that group?
Right, and that's a really good question. Is that, how do you get dermatologists sitting in the hub ready to read it? So, for example, in Toronto, we've got our lead dermatologist, Dr. Trevor Champagne, Women's College Hospital. But what we have is the ability for Trevor right now is nowhere near capacity in terms of the scans coming in, but we've got 14 derms sitting in behind him that we can just keep offloading images to once we start to scale up here. So the idea behind this is we're getting a lot of openness around teledermatology. So two of our strategies is we're starting to now take our dermatologists. We've got Dr. Dan Signal in the US to go out and speak on our behalf and lecture. So, you know, the key there is you have to have real research. So we've got some peer-reviewed research that they can speak to. We've just had written, and they get up and talk about it. And usually working the trade shows and things like that, you get it. We're working with one dermatological, just one clinic down in the US that has 144 locations, and that we're working with them to network for us. So it depends on the size of some of the pharmacies work already have dermatologists. So we're not actually getting to the dermatologist is a bit of a problem in terms of a block in the pipe, but not that big.
Excellent. That answered two questions. I'm going to put these two together. What is your monthly cash burn? And do you need more funding? And at what volume do you need to be profitable?
Okay, I think that's the big thing we've been, unfortunately, this was a turnaround. So, you know, we've been hand to mouth all the way along as we've built up our proof of concept and proposition. And I know some shareholders are concerned with the amount of dilution, but we're a $23 million market cap company. In the telemedicine space, we're peanuts comparatively to everybody else, and especially that we're a real operating SaaS model. We've just done a raise here for $3 million. And, you know, we'll have some news out here that, you know, that's basically all spoken for right now. So I'm not worried that we're not going to close that. I won't need to do any more dilution from here. So that'll get us to cash flow positive. And if we're doing everything, executing the way we should do, we're looking hopefully to have, you know, sort of Q3, Q4 will be cash flow positive. So going back to our burn rate is probably around 65,000 a month to 70,000 a month right now.
Okay.
So,
And do you have any long-term or short-term debt?
yeah, there's a convertible debenture inside there for about on our balance sheet for about $500,000. It's held by a friendly inside director family. So, you know, I mean, it's friendly to us. It's nothing in there that's untoward. It carries an 8% coupon on it.
Excellent. In the pharmacy, do you need a trained technician to scan, or can anyone just go ahead and scan?
No, the idea is we have a trained technician. So, but it doesn't have to be the pharmacist because they're pretty busy doing potions and lotions and things of that nature. So you can have somebody from the cosmetic area come over, sit with the patient. It's about a 7-minute process from the time that they sit there and sit with the patient, type in their information into our patient management system, and then set the scope up to be scanned. We like the pharmacist to walk in and actually take the scan because it can see it on the screen that it's a safe one. Patient feels better about it because the pharmacist came in and listened for a minute about the patient, and then that's as long as it takes. So, you know, we've had stopwatches on this, and it's about 7 to 10 minutes. And, you know, if you look at that compared to the pharmacy from an efficiency point of view, flu shots, you have to go in, you have to keep the vaccine, you have to give it to the patient, you have to keep an eye on them for 15 minutes, and they make $7 a scan or for doing a flu shot. So we're far more lucrative to the pharmacy channel. And pharmacies are moving heavily into the digital marketplace, if you will. If you look into the US models, the big pharmacy chains have full-blown medical clinics inside them. And so we fit absolutely into their footprint.
You mentioned AI earlier. How are you using AI?
So that's a really interesting one because, you know, the general consensus are people are using cellular phones to be able to say, I'm going to take an image on the top of your skin with my cell phone. The AI will compute, and this will all be done by AI. You know, we quite frankly think that's nonsense. It's a bit Star Trek-y. Here's why. A cellular phone can only take the top image of the skin. Anytime they're moving it around like this, you're getting different light, different focal points. You're getting all kinds of problematic issues with just taking the image. AI only works if you get garbage in, you get garbage out. So you're going to have to now find a way to manipulate that image to get it accurate enough. And the top of the skin doesn't tell you enough information, even though you're using fractal geometry and there's all kinds of things that they're using. Our imaging technology goes below the skin and shows the evolution. So we think two things about it. We think we have a much better AI platform for being able to do detection of the melanoma, but we think that's actually the wrong question. We think the question should be, is this not a melanoma?
Ah,
And the reason why you want it to not be a melanoma, 97% of the stuff that gets sent over is stuff that doesn't need to go. If we can detect all of the stuff with 100% accuracy that's benign, those patients can be dealt with right at the doctor's office or straight from the pharmacy back to the doctor. And now we only have to send to the dermatologist anything that's really bad.
okay, so we're gonna wrap it up, but I just
Well,
have
that's why Paul was doing that. I just.
No, 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 no. I have a question. That's why. No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why you're waving. Okay, go
we
ahead,
have
Paul.
3 quick questions. Any patents?
Yes, fully patent. We have patents, but are, great. And I get this a lot. People come in, oh, I can replicate your technology. And my answer to them is always, I'll give you everything. Have it all. But here's the problem. You go in and have to now go get medical device clearance as a stage 2 device in every country you want to do business in. That's going to take you a year in every country you want to go into, and it's going to cost you a substantial amount.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do the clinical trials, and then you're going to have to build a telemedicine platform. Good luck with that. So,
Okay, so last 2, have you given any thought to aligning with major like Shoppers or CVS for exclusivity?
we wouldn't do exclusivity in any of the pharmacy chains, but those would be exceptional customers. We'd be really honored to be able to work with companies like that.
Okay, and then the last one, fittingly, what's the exit strategy? Partnership with major device company or acquisition?
Yeah, you never manage a company to be taken over, because that may not happen, right? So the idea behind it is, we want to be, our vision is to be the gold standard in dermatology. That's it. And so to be the gold standard in digital dermatology is our goal, and that's what we will accomplish. As we start to go very heavy cash flow, because once we get all these installed and in, we're talking to every dermatologist in the world globally, and we're getting all of the imaging and all of the patient information, everything. It makes us pretty attractive from anybody who wants to come into that space. So it wouldn't surprise me in a few years out here, once we get a really global base, that it would make something that we'd be fairly accretive and it'd be probably interesting. And at that point in time, the truth being known, we're probably, as a management team, can get it up to a certain level. And at that point, you're gonna have to bring in a different layer of management to get there. So, it would make more sense to be acquired than it would be to try to teach me. To teach me, it'd be easier to get acquired.
Well, thank you very much. That was all the questions. Thanks so much, Mike. And I'll hand it over to Paul.
Okay.
Mike,
Thanks,
fantastic presentation.
thanks,
Really
Mike.
happy with you coming back to us and giving us an update after previously presenting with us. I've
pretty
had a
excited
couple
with their
of text
development.
messages and phone calls, obviously, because you heard my phone. A friend of mine in Scotland wants to know if you have thought about Australia.
Right.
If you haven't, he's got some introductions for you.
Well, I would be honored. I'd be honored to take it. The thing is, right now I've been back and forth in Brazil and Colombia and Mexico, and I'm thinking, it's the other side of the world, and I've got to get there. So yes, I would be very interested in opening up in Australia. Australia does 1 million people a year go look to get scanned or looked at by their doctors down there for melanoma.
Yeah.
And it's a huge opportunity for us. And the reason why is there's a huge amount of awareness. And it's close to New Zealand, who now is the highest level. They surpassed that. So both are very, very good. And the other thing too, that New Zealand just announced they don't have COVID-19. Now, if I could only get on a plane, I'd be on my way. But anyway, I'd be very interested in open Australia.
I'll get back to you with that information. Again, thank you so much. Thank you all people that sent the questions in. There's one question from Bill Mitchell that we're not going to answer, but I'll call you privately, Bill. He wants to know if I play the guitar that's hanging on the wall behind me.
Right. I would say that there has been a research report out by us by Beacon Capital. Yes. And so Beacon put one out there. Doug Cooper spent a lot of time with us and did a really good research report. So if anybody wants that report to read, I'm sure we can.
Yeah, you can feel free to contact us. We'll be happy to share it with you.
Yeah.
Anybody that has further questions, please reach out to Sophie or I, and we can pass them on to Mike, and then we'll take it from there. Again, thanks to everyone for participating today. A great turnout, and Mike, great presentation. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Sophie. I always do a great job. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.